figure out a way to be able to collect all these taxes and not have to throw all these people in jail. So what Beardsley Ruml did was he thought back to his days at Macy's and remembered that people, when they made large purchases at Macy's, they always preferred to pay over time in installments rather than pay in one lump sum. So he said, this is the idea that we're going to use. And since he came up with it, he got to name it after himself. He called it the Ruml Plan. This is where the Ruml Plan is going to work. See, now we know about 29 million of you aren't saving up for your income taxes. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to forgive last year's income taxes. So those of you that weren't saving up, you're not going to have to pay anything. And what we're going to start doing immediately is, instead of having you pay at the end of the year, we're going to put the burden on your employer. We're going to have your employer withdraw money directly from your paycheck and send it to us. And that money is going to be an estimation of your annual taxes. So now, instead of paying at the end of the year, you'll now pay weekly, twice a month, monthly, whenever you get paid. It's going to be the responsibility of your employer. Now, this did not make a lot of people happy. This plan did not have a tremendous amount of support. In fact, the only people really made happy were people that died in 1943. Because if you died in 1943, all of your taxes were forgiven, and you didn't have to start currently paying taxes. Now, in order to garner support politically, you need more than just a handful of people. So instead of just having the people who died in 1943 lobby, they tried to add on to that. So they added on people who died in 1943 to people who were about to die in 1943. And that became much larger. And that group, that political group, even became much larger, where they went and recruited everybody who was about to die. And they now make up our current day AARP. Back to Beardsley Ruml. So Beardsley Ruml came up with this Ruml Plan. And it went to FDR and they said, Frank, here's our suggestion. We're going to start taking it from people every week. Have the employers do it rather than us. Frank loved the idea. Frank being FDR, of course. Frank loved the idea. This is how we're going to work it. Now, because of the way this plan changes, what has happened up to current day is people now have a very warped view of federal income tax. The view kind of works like this. Let's go back to our original question. How many of you said that you would much rather borrow money from somebody interest-free rather than pay money to somebody? Loan them money interest-free. Okay. Many of you would rather borrow money without paying interest. It's a pretty common occurrence. How many of you received a tax refund this year? Most of you also received a tax return. So when you received a tax return, essentially what you've just done is you have loaned money to the federal government completely interest-free. Anybody here have to pay taxes this year, at the end of the year? Those of you that have to pay taxes, you're the lucky ones. Because that's your money that you got to borrow all year long, interest-free, that you now pay at the end. However, most people tend to be happier when they receive tax refunds. Tax refund is nothing more than your change. The way it worked, the way the Ruml Plan worked, was that you would have estimated payments every single month, taken out of your paycheck. And then at the end of the year, it was up to you to figure out if you paid too much or paid too little. And you would even that out with the federal government. So people that paid too much would receive a tax refund. So basically, when you get a tax refund, that's your change. You're receiving change. So a lot of you said that you were very happy about receiving a tax refund this year. How many of you, in the second question we went over, said you'd be really excited when the cashier at Macy's gave you change? Most people aren't really excited. Look, the cashier gave me money. No, the cashier gave you back your money. So again, it becomes that warped view of federal income tax. Now, how many of you would be really upset that cashier at Macy's said, here's your merchandise, here's your receipt, we'll get you your change in a year? That would probably upset most people. So I'm sure it does. However, that's exactly what your federal income tax return is. You're now waiting an entire year to receive your change. And again, most people get really excited about it. And of course, the last one. How many of you said you would be willing to go pay somebody to get your change for you? Excellent answer. None of you would want to go pay somebody to get your change, right? How many of you paid to have your taxes done this year? A few of you paid to get your taxes done. So essentially what you've just done is you paid somebody, an accounting professional, to go get your change for you. Very, very common occurrence. So the Beardsley plan goes into place, and what it does is it really starts to warp people's image and view of federal income tax. Now people are more focused on how much money they're getting back rather than how much money they're actually spending. So it comes to no surprise why we had, starting 1940s, such a huge, huge government. So to help you remember everything that you just talked about, everything we just talked about now, got an economics poem. I'm the self-proclaimed world's first economic poet. So this poem will help you remember everything we just talked about. Now, in order to do this, we're going to have a choral reading session where we all read this in unison, because I know that motivates you to no end. So you guys all ready to read this? Okay, now everybody together. Beardsley Ruml had a tax to make sure people wouldn't ask how much taxes they were paying, but instead he had them saying, "Look at my big refund check. Think I'll cash it. What the heck?" Educated knowledge no one's taking about how much money the government's really taking. Any questions?